This video is brought to you by Skillshare.
What if you mix the power of the 16-inch MacBook Pro with the battery life and portability of the iPad Pro?
This is the baseline M1 MacBook Pro, you know, the more expensive version of Apple's latest M1 MacBook Air, and almost the same. Now, reviewing this laptop is exactly like talking about the first generation Tesla Roadster from 2008, the one in space. See, the Roadster was exceptionally powerful, delivering at the time never before seen immediate torque in combination with a battery that for the first time can take you places, while dressed in a Lotus Elise clothing. Just like the Roadster, the M1 MacBook Pro can deliver never-before-seen power per watt, with a charge that can last you for days, dressed in the same old big bezel classic MacBook dress that we've all come to love and get bored over the years. Now, unlike the Roadster though, the M1 is not as boutique, and you can actually afford it. The question is, should you? Well, after more than a month of using it, meanwhile ditching my almost maxed out 16-inch MacBook Pro, I think it's time for me to spill the beans. Hey, Iskren here, but feel free to call me E. Now, initially when I ordered the M1, I was secretly hoping that it would disappoint me since I had just spent a huge chunk of cash on my 16-inch Intel behemoth, but when it arrived, it was all giggles and wows here in the studio. I mean, from the get-go, I ran a 10-minute 4K video export test while playing Tomb Raider in max resolution, and I didn't even hear the fans spinning, nor I felt any heat whatsoever. Just for comparison, similar export on the 16-inch Intel laptop gives me time for a coffee break since I can't really do anything else while the laptop is crunching. For the most part, however, it was all about the small improvements in day-to-day tasks, like running apps and opening and closing the laptop lid while the external monitor is not flinching at all. And there was the battery, but I'll tell you more in a second. It was clear that this is a game changer, but don't just take my word for it, hear it from someone who's just as impressed with M1 machines, one who has a lot more knowledge and can actually talk about hyperthreading, clock cycles and heatsinks in a captivating way while making perfect sense. Dmitry from Hardware Canucks.
Good people, I'm Dmitry. Thanks to E for the invitation. The MacBook Air M1. My gosh, what an incredible machine. This opens up so much opportunity for Apple Silicon in the future. Can't wait to see what slightly beefier MacBooks will be capable of. But in this form factor, this is going to be the new benchmark for 13-inch, super tiny, super battery efficient machines. This has replaced all my social media interactions. I don't touch anything on my PC in terms of Twitter, in terms of email, in terms of all the Instagram apps, just because I can run everything on here without even needing to open my phone. That's incredible. All the quality of life improvements. I never knew how amazing Touch ID on the MacBook would be in terms of signing in, purchasing. The speakers on this small machine are better than like 90% of gaming notebooks I've tried. And for 90% of things that I do on a daily basis, I don't even want to touch my PC again. This thing covers it all. And I know we only have the two USB-C ports, but I can plug in my 4K display into one port and it's charging the notebook and it's passing the signal. I mean, incredible. And of course, everyone raves about the battery life. I charge this thing every 4 days or so, and this is with like constant daily use. Really impressed by it so far. I've had this for just over a week, and I'm so happy that this thing is in my life now. All right, E, back to you.
So as with all first-gen products, not everything is sunshine and rainbows. Hence my initial comparison with the Tesla Roadster. Just to give you a perspective, my M1 MacBook Pro is the very base model coming with 8GB of RAM and 256GB of storage. The goal of replacing my 2TB 16-inch MacBook Pro led me to a series of challenges that I had to overcome, two being obvious right out of the box. The first one, as you can guess, is the internal base storage. With all my life existing on iCloud, that wasn't much of an obstacle because for the most part, I only had to take care of my apps. At the moment, I still have about 80GB free, which is great. Video editing and creative work, however, had to happen on an external drive. At first, I had a standard SanDisk portable 1TB, which has some average reading and writing speeds of about 350 megabits, which I thought would be a tremendous problem. It turns out I was able to edit off of this tiny drive with minor lags appearing upon initial import of my files. However, 1TB wasn't enough for me, and I knew I would be able to shave off some valuable time by using a much faster external drive, so I invested in the Pro version of the same SanDisk Extreme, giving me over 850 megabits write and read speeds. I'll have a separate video talking about external drives and M1, so adding some shortcuts here and there, and I was able to integrate and fix the storage dilemma as if I wasn't suffering from internal storage anxiety at all. Challenge number 2 was the dual USB-C Thunderbolt ports and the fact that I can only run a single external monitor. Now, the single monitor thing isn't that big of a deal for me, but it's good to point out if you're shopping for an M1. The bigger problem, however, turned out to be the missing 50% of my ports that I used to enjoy on my larger laptop. With only 2 ports, I had to run power, picture, sound, card reader, and others, including my external camera drive, which I have to dump regularly. At first, I had to unplug the power of the monitor when I was copying my video footage, which, if you ask me, is a bit embarrassing. But as always, it is all a matter of having a decent hub and proper cable management. I will be doing an M1 desk setup soon, so you can expect that as well. Invisible challenge number 3. And I say invisible because it wasn't obvious at first, and that is the 8 GB of RAM. Now, many say that if you do heavy work, the 16 GB model, which is actually the top of the line right now, is almost a must. And now, with my experience firsthand, I can tell you it's true. It wouldn't be obvious at first, but after a week or perhaps 10 days of using the M1 to its capacity, the laptop would become sluggish and slow to a point that sometimes I might not be able to type in my login password because the keyboard strokes would take ages. As snappy and quick as it was at times,
The laptop will become crippled and slow, requesting immediate restart.
Now, to be fair, I'm not sure if this problem would be caused by a combination of software bugs, my desk setup, and multiple things that I have running through that hub, because the first 2 weeks of using the laptop on its own, I wasn't witnessing any hiccups at all. So as always, a restart would resolve everything and my M1 would be again outperforming my expectations no matter what I throw at it. I will be reporting on these concerns and potential fixes in the follow-up videos later. So when everything is fresh, this laptop is an absolute joy to use. Every single interaction with it, from opening apps to the internet being too slow to load the immediate render of pages, to playing games in max settings while exporting large video files, while not even being able to hear the fans. This tiny laptop is an absolute marvel. What makes it special and spectacular though is that this power is combined with a battery life that will last days. As an example, I would work on a video edit the entire day Friday, take the M1 at home over the weekend and use it to type my newsletter and watch some Skillshare class that I'm exploring. Without being plugged in from Thursday evening the previous week, I would come to the studio on Monday and see a battery percentage of 65%. Yes, ironically, I had to think back and remember when was the last time I juiced that thing up. For the first time in my life, I don't carry a charger with this laptop, and many times I would forget when was the last time I charged it. And for the first time, my iPad annoys me since I have to charge it more often. Now, I mentioned Skillshare and the latest class that I'm taking, which is about storytelling, led by a New York Times bestseller, Daniel Jose Older. See, I'm trying to improve all my videos by being a better storyteller, which is important especially for non-native English speakers like me. With Skillshare, I've been able to improve all the angles of my YouTube craft, and I couldn't be more excited when I was given the opportunity to be supported by them. For those who are new to Skillshare, it is an online learning community where millions of people come together to take the next step in their creative journey, with thousands of inspiring classes like graphic design, photography, video editing, productivity, and lots more. With so much to explore, real projects to create, and the support of fellow creatives, Skillshare empowers beginners, pros, dabblers, and masters. What I love about it is that most classes are in-depth, but are broken into small time-efficient lessons that I can consume in my free time, and there are no ads. Skillshare is always launching new premium classes, so you can stay focused and follow wherever your inspiration takes you. And by the way, it's less than $10 a month with an annual subscription. So if you hurry up and be amongst the first 1,000 to click in the link in the description, you'll get a free trial of premium membership so you can explore your creativity. Thank you Skillshare for supporting the channel. I know that many of you might have doubts about any M1 computer right now, and this laptop in particular, since it's the first generation and conceivably has some sort of support issues. But I want to clear the air and tell you that you have nothing to worry about. Remember, for any non-M1 software, there's Rosetta translation technology. For pretty much any bugs, there's an upcoming upgrade in Big Sur. For almost all shortcomings mentioned earlier, there is a workaround or unavailable tool. And for any financial reason that you've ever stopped yourself from creating, there's the M1 lineup, like the MacBook Pro or Dmitry's MacBook Air. So if you are on the market for the new Mac machine, either shop M1 with confidence, and if your budget allows it, just wait a tiny bit more until the next line of pro-grade machines comes out later this year. Massive thanks to Dmitry for jumping in the last minute and sharing his M1 thoughts. I really appreciate your help. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure. This is Thisise, over and out.